The next characteristic of a loving father is that a loving father is generous. A few years ago, when we were nursing my first wife through her cancer, and when I first became a single dad after she died, my overriding memory is of how generous my church were towards me. One of my abiding memories is that a really good friend, she did my ironing every week for 2 years as I looked after 4 children as a single dad. It was an incredible sign of generosity. And I don't know what your experience of generosity has been, whether growing up it was something that was a characteristic of your family or not. I think how we experience generosity can probably be linked in with what's a well-known thing around the 5 love languages. How we experience generosity can come in different forms. So, for example, if your love language is time, then one of the things that you would really recognise and appreciate is when people are generous with their time. If your experience is more that you respond to acts of service, when people show you and do things for you, like that person who did the ironing for me, that there's a sense of a real value that comes through that. Maybe you're somebody who responds to gifts, and when someone's generous with gifts or money, that sort of speaks your language of love. Equally, it might be words of affection. Words can build us up or they can kill us. For many of us, that's our love language, and when people are generous with the things that they say about us, it produces a reaction in our heart. Or maybe your love language is touch, and so when people show you affection, there's a generosity there. Generosity can take different forms, and depending on our love language depends on how we might receive or respond. But also it might affect our experience of generosity, and consequently give us a different picture to a generous father than we might expect. At the beginning of John's Gospel, John tells us a story that's found only in his Gospel of Jesus at the very beginning of his ministry attending a wedding in Cana. And he and his disciples arrive at the wedding, and I don't know how long the wedding's been going for, but the wine runs out. And for some reason, and I've never quite figured out exactly why, his mum came to him, bearing in mind that Jesus had not yet begun his ministry. This was the first miracle that Jesus ever did. His mum comes to him and says, "Can you help out?" and tells people to do whatever he says. She must have recognised something in Jesus at that point. But Jesus does this miracle of taking some dirty water that's there for washing and turning it into the most beautiful wine, where the host of the banquet says, "You've saved the best to last." What does that show us about the heart of God, that sort of sense of the generous nature of God? There's a few things that it comes out. It's interesting that the very first miracle that Jesus does is at a wedding banquet. And we have a picture at the end of time of a wedding banquet in heaven. And it's almost like we see a picture of God showing what is to come right at the start of his ministry. A picture of the bridegroom coming to sort of set this tone for the rest of Jesus' ministry. But it's also interesting, if you look back in the Old Testament at the prophet Amos, in chapter 9 and verses 13 and 14, we see that wine is symbolic, and it's a symbolic of bringing people back from exile, back into the promise. In other words, good wine was a symbol of restoration. And here is Jesus at the beginning of his ministry, starting off taking this picture of a generous God who wants to bring people back into relationship with him. So what's your experience of thinking of Father God as generous? Maybe if you haven't had your prayers answered in the way that you would like them to, you struggle to think of Father as being generous, or maybe because of the experiences you've had in life, you struggle to think of God being generous towards you. What we see in the wedding at Cana is a picture of an extravagant, outrageously generous Father who gives incredibly, beautifully and amazingly, saving the best wine to last. And this picture of God wanting to bring us back into relationship. There are so many pictures here of a generous Father that I wonder, have your experiences of generosity, or the way that you like to receive and express affection, Do those shape the way that you think of generosity?